Well, it's about to snow up here in Michigan where we're at, and I was planning on bringing this Slant 6 for the Dart Street Freak build down into my basement to work on it during the winter. And in the past, I usually take V8s and put them on the engine stand on the dolly, and I could just haul them around that way in this dirt and in the gravel and stuff and roll them right into my basement. But this is a little weighty out towards the front, so I think what I'm going to have to end up doing is I'm going to pull the head, the intake and exhaust, and just take the short block in, and then as we build it I'll just have to do a mock-up inside, and we'll actually have to do the full build in the car most likely. So I suppose what I'll end up doing is pulling this valve cover off, pull the head. I'll probably leave the intake and exhaust all as one unit. And I got the cherry picker already here. I might as well use that just to lift the head and the intake and exhaust off. And then we'll roll the short block in. And then we can start working on it for the winter. All right, now that we've got all the valve cover bolts out, we're gonna crack her open. And I have never dug into this motor at all. And some things I've noticed just from taking the transmission off, the clutch looked fairly new. There was still print on the actual clutch disc from the manufacturer. There's still machine marks on the flywheel. So still haven't figured out what took this car off the road. I'm still saying it was how rusty it was. I did notice on the trans cross member that there was some weld on there that looks like somebody tried to repair it. So I'm guessing it was still rust that took this car off the road. I'm hoping that we're gonna get into this engine and see that it's gonna be okay, and we won't have to do a ton of work on it. But it remains to be seen. We're gonna take this off, okay. Everything looks to be in order here. I have had this engine rotating, if you guys remember. I'm still not sure if there's some compression on that one. I'm not seeing movement on all these rockers yet. Oh, there we go. Now I'm starting to see movement everywhere. Just gotta wait to see movement on that last cylinder. There we go. Okay, so cam should be good. I still don't hear compression in all the cylinders yet, which is okay because I'm gonna open up the ring gaps on them anyways. And we're gonna re-ring it for the supercharger that's going on here. So I'll get the head taken off and we'll see what the pistons look like. We've got the head off now. It definitely looks like this engine's been gone through before. These slants came stock with like a copper or steel shim gasket, and this is a newer composite one. Looks like maybe a Victor Core, or I don't know if that's Victor Reigns, but it's got some deposits there. Got a little bit of ridge in there. It's not terrible. I don't think I'm gonna machine it anyway. That's a little concerning to me because we got the rust in there, but I haven't turned it over now that I've got the head off. Everything else looks okay. I don't know if this if it's been machined before. Some of the stamping is not where I normally see it, which means it could have been machined across and decked, or I just don't know my stamping well enough, which is a very big possibility because I don't know everything about these slants yet. I'm learning as I go. But we got the head off, so now I'm gonna see if that was enough weight off of this to get her over into the basement. All right, after lots of struggle, I've got the Slant 6 into the basement. I actually found all the casting numbers off from it, or the stamped numbers, so I don't think it's been decked or anything. And before I go on, I will go ahead and get some better lighting in here. And then we'll get to work on draining the oil and pulling it apart and seeing what we got to work with. Well, we finally got it into the basement. We've been letting the oil drain out for a couple days. It really didn't have a whole lot left in it. So far, from the looks of it, this engine's been through quite a bit. I noticed when I rolled it over on this stand here, it looks like somebody brazed this oil pan shut. Looks like it was had a nice slice through it. And looking at it, it looks like they brazed it. But we're going to pull this oil pan off, and we're going to see what we have going on inside. Hopefully all the bearings are good. We'll check everything out, and we'll go from there. Okay, I've got all the bolts out. Since this pan has been ripped apart and it's a center sump, I'm going to be swapping over to a rear sump pan, because when I take this to the drag strip, when all the oil sloshes to the back, I want all the oil to be towards the back in the sump so that we don't have any lapses in oil pressure when under hard acceleration. So I'm not too worried about wrecking this pan or anything, obviously, and I have plenty of other center sump pans. This probably is just going to go to scrap, but let's open it up and see what it looks like inside. I'm definitely not the first one to open this engine up. But I'm curious to see if I can tell what all has been done to it so far throughout its previous life. We got enough of it right off. If we can. Oh, I got one more bolt underneath all the dirt and stuff and the crud. Thought I had them all out. Pop this one out real quick, and then we'll be able to have a look, see how it looks in there. If you want to see more of what I mean by where the oil slams towards the back, Uncle Tony's Garage has an awesome video where he demonstrates it. Yeah, looks pretty gross in there. I don't know what all we got. Oh, that's solid. There's something hard plastic right there. Oh yeah, we got distributor teeth here. So the thing with these Slant 6s sometimes is they would break the driver's side engine mount, and it would allow the engine to rock up towards the passenger side, and that's where your distributor is, and it would shove that distributor against your passenger side fender well, and it would actually bind up the teeth on your distributor, and it would break the plastic distributor gear. And this is where, and a lot of people will just throw in another gear or throw in a different distributor and just leave the teeth at the bottom of the oil pan, which it looks like it's happened here. This is the second time I've seen this, so it's pretty common occurrence. I'm not too worried about it. Set this off for scrap later. As far as everything else looks, so far the rods all feel like they're pretty good condition. They're the rod bearings anyway. I don't feel a lot of play in them. Turns over nice. Oh yeah. So I think what I'll end up doing is, man, we got a lot of carbon. A lot of dry oil carbon built up on everything. So this stuff will all probably get pulled apart and cleaned up really well. I might take some sharp edges off here and there. Nothing too crazy or major. Looks like my camshaft down in here, really common for the fuel pump arm to wear that cam lobe down significantly, and it looks like this one's definitely got a lot of wear on it. But we're switching over to electric fuel pump anyway, since we're going to be putting the supercharger on. The mechanical one won't be giving us enough fuel for what we want, and it's also going to be running on E85, so that also increases the fuel demand, since you have to burn about 40% more E85 to make up for gasoline. Other than that, I mean, this engine looks like it's in pretty decent shape. I'm pretty happy with it. I don't see any marks that are indicating that it's been fully rebuilt before. I'm guessing somebody just did head gasket and probably fixing the oil pan, because normally you would see maybe stamps on your rod caps. Not always. I could be wrong. This could have been rebuilt at some point, but as of right now, I'm not thinking it was. So from now, I'll start pulling all the brackets and accessories off, get this engine kind of stripped down. Probably, I'm definitely going to be taking the pistons out to re-ring to open up the gap in the piston rings, and I'll just put a new set of rings in while I'm at it, and I'll also hone it, give it a nice little surface to seat on. Not going to have it machined. It does have wear on the bores, and the reason I'm not going to have it machined and I'm opening up the gaps is superchargers don't need to have, well, they don't like high compression. Nowadays you can build high compression engines with supercharger, but with something like this, we're going to leave it as low compression as it gives me, and we're going to compensate for that low compression with boost. Running the E85 that has a closer octane rating to, don't quote me on this, but around 112, 114, depending on the quality of it. I'm going to be running pump E85 right from the gas stations, so I'm not going to put too much stock into the higher quality of it, but I think it'll still allow me to have a pretty significant amount of boost, at least for this engine, and we'll be able to make up for the lack of compression with the worn cylinders that way. And here's what the head looked like after I took it off. The number 1 cylinder looks a little rough. I'll be taking it all apart anyway and do some light porting, backface the valves, get it all cleaned up before I put it back on. And as always, like, share, subscribe, ring the bell, all that stuff that the YouTubers say. Let me know if there's any questions or things you'd like to see in the future in the comments, and I'll see you later.